Good evening and welcome to the Neighborhood Improvement Services Advisory Committee monthly meeting. I would like to call this meeting of the Neighborhood Improvement Services Advisory Committee to order. And I would like to thank the viewing audience for tuning in. I would like to ask Ms. Paula Jones to lead us in invocation.
Let's bow our heads. Thank you, Lord. This evening, for this day, this is a day that none of us have seen before, and we thank you for it. Now we thank you for those that are here. Thank you for those that may be on their way. And ask that you help us make decisions to help our staff make Jacksonville a better place to live. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. At this time, we would like to say welcome to all of our committee members, and we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves.
I'm Jerry March, member.
Good evening, Pamela Trafton, Neighborhood Improvement Services Coordinator.
Paula Jones, member.
Marshall Wright, member.
Steve Forney, member and vice chair for this year.
Will Smith, member and chairperson. Thank you all for being here tonight. I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the agenda? And are there any changes or additions?
Do you want a motion?
If there are none, we have a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion at all? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Also, you have the minutes for February 27th. Have been provided for your review. Has everyone had the opportunity to review them? Great. Are there any changes or additions? If no changes or addition, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. This time I'll turn it over to Mr. Forney for the planning board update.
Well, we had in planning board one item since we've last had a meeting, and it had to do with a proposed automotive body and paint caliper collision. And because it is that type of business, it needs a special use permit. And it's going to be in the extraterrestrial corridor as such. It is in that building just before you get to Murphy Express over there next to the Walmart and Lowe's on Yop Road. And it'll be on 258. As you're going from here, it's on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got that large building with the fenced-in lot that has been through several different businesses. But now, because it's an automotive shop, or that's what they want, it's a special use permit. And we recommend that the city approve it.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, great. We'll have community development.
Good evening again. So tonight with community development, we're going to talk about our CDBG funding for our CARES Act program, our fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan, and our CD projects currently in the works. With our CDBG funding CARES Act, specifically with our water utility assistance, we have received a total of 764 applications since the inception of the program. Out of those 764 applications, 281 households have been funded, and that's based off of the first-time funding. The applications may include duplicate applications and those applications that have been rejected. Rejected applications are due to either out of income or they did not submit their documents to have their application funded. Throughout this process, we've spent $135,698.60. Currently have a little less than $5,000 left to spend. So the utility assistance will be complete this year. Also with our CDBG funding, We've also been able to help allocate with rental assistance. So with Oslo Community Outreach, they had received $10,000. An additional $1,200 will take care of all of our CDBG funding that we just did a change order for. And this is prior to the legislative budget agreement for them to receive an additional $10,000 to help the families that are currently in Town Center. Our annual action plan, so we concluded our process of plans with our March 16th meeting at New Beginnings Christian Center. This was our last community input meeting. And then we went before council, and council approved our current annual action plan to be submitted to HUD by May 15th. Current projects that we currently have, we still have our renovation rehabilitation projects in Country Club Villas. Currently what you see is our last pavement that's set to be complete this month. This is where we are completely resurfacing the parking lots of where we currently have our homes that were in Country Club Villas. So 2 of the parking pads are complete, and this is the last one to be finished. Next, we are doing rehabilitation projects over in New River, 728, 730, 732, and 734. Oops, 1 second. These units are actually through a rental rehab program that we have with a homeowner that has purchased these 4 units. They are in the process of going under renovation. Once the renovations are complete, he will actually partner with our East Carolina Human Services to get them under Section 8 housing. So that will then bring 4 more units on the market to be part of affordable housing with rental rehab.
That's great.
Now, where are these located at?
728, 730, 732, and 734 New River Drive.
Okay.
So they're not part of the town center complex. They're in the duplexes within the same area.
Okay.
So those will go through, they're in the process now of getting the scope of work done between the CDBG funds that are able to assist with the rental rehab, and then the investors' own funds during the rehabs. These will come online here soon. Demolition, we are working on our 162nd. This is now going into my portion of the meeting, unless there's any questions based off of what has been presented thus far.
Nope.
All right, so demolition, we're currently working on our 162nd demolition. This is at 16 Enoch Lane. This was the before picture. And this is currently in the during process. And once we have the final completion, then we'll update with the completion picture in itself. So it didn't take many swipes. After our demolition, we moved into, this is what we proposed for the viewing audience, what it will look like at the end. Our classes that we have upcoming, we have money management. We just completed one this past Saturday. We had approximately 20 students in attendance. Our money management class is a free seminar where we have consultant. We partner with Rachel Gerald. She's our money management coach, Rachel Gerald, and she teaches about the basics with personal banking, credit reports, understanding your budget. And our next one is scheduled for June 3rd. I'm excited to announce that we have been working with another financial team here within the community to bring additional classes to the community when it comes to finances. Primarily what we've heard from feedback is money management. A lot of people think is for those that don't know how to handle finances. And we want to help dispel that myth, because a lot of times this class itself, I've had people come through that are already professionals, have been dealing with finances forever, but they always walk away with information that they did not know. So we definitely want more people to know that it's not just for those that have a hard time handling finances. But we're also looking at bringing additional courses where we're talking about the psychology behind math, making sure that you have the right mindset when it comes to handling your finances, and then taking that mindset and being able to apply the information that's given. And eventually we'll take it into a deeper look into finances, talking about investments, talking about having the wills, the estate. So trying to really address the holistic person when it comes to finances. So look for more information to come in the upcoming for those classes. Our homebuyers education course, we are taking registrations now for May 20th. It is $25 per person. All of our classes are taking place at the Jacksonville station, which is located at 1300 North Marine Boulevard. With our homebuyer education, there has been a lot. If you look at the minutes from our February meeting to where we are today, we have accomplished a lot. One of the things that we accomplished is the sale of 516 Myrtlewood Circle. That one has sold since we met in February. We have a new homeowner at 516. We currently have 427 and 429 Myrtlewood Circle that's on the market to be sold. And technically, we just have 429 available because we have somebody that's approved to purchase 427 Myrtlewood Circle. And with it, it kind of correlates with our projects as well. 427 Myrtlewood, one of the things that we talked about in our February meeting as one of our projects was the fact that we would have privacy fences installed on those 3 units. So this is pictures of what our privacy fences look like. So all 3 units now have privacy fences. And so with the sale of 429 left to take place, that one is our 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath that is going for $100,000. So if you know anybody that is looking to become a homeowner, we are ready to sell 429 Myrtlewood Circle. All right. Any questions before we go into the youth programs? All right. So for Jacksonville Youth Council, we have our upcoming event this Thursday, which is the elevator pitch. How are teens able to sell their potential in 1 to 2 minutes? So are they able to answer the infamous question, tell me about yourself, when they're approached by an interviewer, whether it's for a job or whether it's through volunteer organization? This class in itself will be sponsored by Onslow County Toastmasters. Well, they will learn how to do the table topics, being able to speak for 1 to 2 minutes and answer that infamous question. This is open to teens through ages 14 through 18. And it will take place here at City Hall in Council Chambers this Thursday at 6 p.m. And this is in preparation for our teen volunteer job fair, which is scheduled May 6th between 11 and 2 p.m. The job fair is open to ages 14 through 18. We are currently still looking for any organizations, any employers that would like to be present for the job fair. They can contact us at 910-938-6551 to sign up as an organization that is seeking teen volunteers or an employer that is seeking for teen employees.
You said it would be at the
Onslow Community Outreach. Yeah, our locations had to change due to the construction on New Bridge Street. All right. Our nonprofit executive roundtable is coming up on May 17th. This is with our speaker, President of United Way, Raquel Painter. She is going to talk about volunteer recruitment and management keys to effectiveness, as Onslow United Way has the Onslow Volunteer. So they have the hub for all volunteers to come through. So if you know somebody that is looking for how to volunteer within the community, or even organizations that are looking for volunteers, organizations can sign up through Volunteer Onslow, and they can put in the needs that they have as an organization when it comes to volunteers. How many volunteers are needed, and what are the details behind that specific event. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am, I have one question, about, like, I don't know if it would be the city, how would people find out about like internships? So for like college students or high school students?
City, if they contact the city, HR would probably be the best location, because if it's gonna be a paid intern or if a department is offering that, then HR would definitely be the best go-to place. Other than that, it's gonna be contacting agencies directly.
Well, actually, there's a coordinator, used to be a coordinator with Oslo County Schools.
Okay, that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, and they were many times deeply involved with that. And I'm assuming they may still be because of the new vocational school
Okay.
that went in. So,
I'm not
that's,
sure.
no,
Because I tried to contact someone over there about the, what's that scholarship that they do, the,
The SAT?
yes. And didn't have, this is before COVID, and really didn't have any luck because the person who was doing it had retired. And I don't know whether it was transition, but could be up and
Yeah.
running again.
Yeah. Because long ago, I mean, Jeff, my youngest, was a freshman in high school. And he was teamed up with Verax Engineering. And that's where his career began, in aircraft simulation.
Okay. And did he do it through the school or he did it through the
So
school board?
he was hooked up through the school, but once they did that, you know, the school never really got involved with it again. And it was Jeff with the business.
Okay.
Okay.
So but it's likely they would have, I shouldn't say likely, it would be great if they did have someone.
Right.
Because we have that facility out
That's-
there now.
You know, I just have that as personal knowledge.
Gotcha.
And even when I was at the college, they had a coordinator for that type of thing.
At the college?
No, when I was at the college,
Okay.
working there, it was Oslo County Schools.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll contact the school board and see if I can find if there is somebody.
Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions up to this far, any input? Okay, let's move on to our One City, Our City, My City moments.
Do we have any before we show what's already up here? Go ahead, show. Okay. You know, I didn't want this to be the CD show.
That's okay.
All right, well, it is gonna be the CD show. We do have a guest that came in, if you wanna introduce.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Introduce yourself, please.
Louise Griggs.
Yes, ma'am.
Griggs?
Just concerned citizen?
Yes, just a concerned citizen.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Someone
I was
that's
gonna say, I
well
was gonna
known
say
to
something
me.
about
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, we definitely need to recognize Ms. Greggs for
She's
a
our
One
recent-
City moment.
She was our recent, one of the people who was honored, and I had the honor of introducing her and her late husband for the Onslow Civic Affairs our Fabric of the Community Award last week. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just gone. And we recognized her.
Saw it in the newspaper.
The late Ron Brown, retired Judge Chuck Henry, and the fourth was
Brown. This the
Ms.
Ron
Crane.
Brown.
the radio station here.
Crane.
Oh, and Sandra
Wyrick.
Crane, Wyrick Crane. And she is a long-term member of Civic Affairs and has just been a wonderful member. And so we had a good time, and I hope you did as well. And congratulations. And she has her piece of the quilt.
The fabric.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, welcome. Yes, ma'am.
So, this is technically the CD show. As you know, we just celebrated our CD week.
That's right.
And want to thank everyone for attendance. We started out with our proclamation ceremony with the mayor reading the proclamation in front of 427, 429 Myrtlewood Circle. This was a opportunity for those that came in attendance to see the work that's been taking place in Country Club Vilas. Also, an opportunity for us to recognize 2 of our homeowners that have gone through the program. The gentleman on the left, or the right, sorry, is actually a city employee that has benefited from going through the program with our homebuyer education classes, money management classes, and is now a homeowner in Country Club Vilas. And the young lady on the left was the recipient of being able to have her home built going through the process itself. We had our council members, and you'll notice that we had our chairperson, Bishop Smith. He was also on the program, our mayor in attendance, and then city manager, Mr. Ray. We also had others in attendance. There we have Miss Gloria, Mr. Massey, Councilman Warden, Councilwoman Edwards, Mr. Carter, Chief Unera, and IT Director Terrence. So very well attended. Next we go into our CD Week Appreciation Luncheon. This is an opportunity that we've started, at least since I've been here, been the past 6 years, but over the past 3 years, we migrated from doing the breakfasts individually to everybody coming together and having the lunch. So this was an opportunity for our department, our NESAC committee, department directors, and city manager to come together and provide a cookout for our staff that work real closely with NIS when it comes to taking care of all our projects that we have upcoming and those that have been done in the past. So we get an opportunity for our directors, our superintendents and supervisors to cook on the grill. We have hamburger hot dogs, baked beans, fun pictures of them parlaying in the food after working and while working. And then just a great opportunity for us to say thank you. See our NESAC members, assistant as well. And that concludes our one city, unless there's any others to add.
All right. Thank you so much. Next, we'd like to talk about our future agenda topics. We may have some suggestions, ideas, or policies. And
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
yes, ma'am. So does anyone have any future agendas or topics that they would like to bring up? Okay.
One I can think of, the work that's going on downtown. I live down here and I didn't know that it was going to be happening. But that, you can't blame that on anybody. Sometimes you get to where you just have to tune out and pull back from the news media, so from anything on the news. So I hadn't seen anything for a while. I just drove up and all of a sudden I couldn't get home the way I normally would.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'd be interested in,
Just an update on what's going on.
yeah, and what is the purpose of it, I guess I would say, what's the aim of it, as far as, other than just physically beautifying,
Yes, ma'am.
New Bridge Street. Is there some, economic development component to it?
I was
That
wondering.
kind of thing. And how long do we think it's going to
Okay.
go on before it's, completed?
That's right.
Did y'all hear anything about Spectrum? That it may have been Spectrum laying down new thingamajigs out there?
Oh,
Well, I don't know about down here, but it's a company called Metro that's been laying it down in all of the neighborhoods. It's 100% fiber optic cable for internet and things like that. Now, I don't know if they're doing it in the street out here. Normally, they do it in all of the neighborhoods. But if we can get just an update on what's going on down here, that would be good.
Well, normally, when something like this is being done, where they tear up the street itself,
Yeah.
whatever improvements are necessary for stormwater, sewage, water, you know, even sometimes burying electrical lines. You know, they'll do that, which makes it a little bit longer, but in the long run, you know, it's more hurricane proof and all those types of things.
And I have
And it looks
seen a
better.
lot of companies, not companies, but trucks from various places that do electrical work in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
driving through.
And they've
So
been putting
that
up more
makes
and
me
more of
think
the
that
big,
might be.
newer wooden poles, if you'll notice on Marine Boulevard.
Yeah, so that'd be good.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
I'm back to my same old thing. Beautification.
Trash.
We used to go around, have people put those trash cans in. We are in hurricane season and they're all over the street.
Yes, sir.
Cause we got new people coming in buying houses and stuff, and they don't know about the ordinance or nothing.
So just.
So, beautification is there, let them know, or either put it in the water bill.
Okay.
Cause I got on my street other week when that wind was high and everything, and other night, when it rained so hard, we thought a hurricane was coming, or a tornado. Trash can, everything flying around, I'm saying, I looked out my door, stuff was flying down the street. I'm saying, this is dangerous. So we could, you know, tell them before somebody get hurt, that's all I say.
Yes, ma'am. One of the things, like, and maybe in the next couple meetings or every other meeting until everyone kind of gets a good understanding on what's going on in town center. We just keep an update going, you know, of what's, you know, just a constant update so we can let the citizens know what's going on out there. And if we have, I don't know how hard it is to do, but like maybe a snapshot of what's available, what's not available, expected plan to get some movement out there. Because I know it's going to be a you know, for the next couple of years, because you just can't build houses and apartments that quick that are affordable. So people can kind of know what to expect. Because, you know, from what I've been hearing, there's another influx of people coming here to Jacksonville, or in the county and Jacksonville, I guess, you know, next couple of years. And so the problem is not going to go away. So, you know, we need to just make sure that we're keep it in the forefront and it doesn't kind of fall to the wayside. And one of the other things that we have down, we will be requesting for the city manager to come and talk with us and talk to, you know, the city as a whole. You know, some of the things that I talked to him about personally was like, you know, the vision. What's our 3, 4, 5-year vision for the city of Jacksonville, and what direction are we going in? And that ties in not only him, but into our elected officials. Where are we going, and what is their plan? Or, you know, so we just don't want to get stuck in the status quo of just doing business as normal. So we can begin to put everything together. You know, we got a good program of showing people how to manage their money, buy new homes, maintain what they have. You know we have the school system for those who go, you know, what's going on over there. And I was hearing about, you know, the influx of like elementary school kids. And so we got to think about their future also. We just can't let it like kind of die to get to the back burner of our mind. We want to make sure we keep those things at the forefront. And so if you guys can think of some questions, and if we can get them in our next meeting, that we can just really have an open kind of conversation, and more it'll be a conversation of, you know, first to welcome him in because he hasn't been in this setting yet, but also just to talk to him to see, you know, where should we be going as neighborhood improvement, but also where the city is going, and what can we expect, you know?
I wanna ask you, oh, go ahead, Paula.
I have an old question.
Mine too.
And I know it's an old question. And that is, now, and I can't recall how long I've been on here. I know you've been on here a really long time, you and Steve. I came behind you guys too, but still, I don't understand as much money as we see come through the city and the county with different programs, the millions of dollars. Why don't we have some place for people to live that is affordable to them? Because everybody's pocketbook is different, am I correct? And why don't we have some places like that so that places like Town Center don't go down the tubes like this place did over years and years and years of this owner and that owner and that owner and some other owner that lives somewhere in another state or on another continent.
I think,
I don't understand how, I guess, and maybe
Well,
I'm just
and-
kind of,
And that's part of like, that's a question, like when we have the city manager come in, our council. Those are the questions that we should be posing to our elected
Yeah.
officials
that's
all
like
the
my only
time.
question. I just don't understand
Because
it.
I
And
tell
that's
you
the
again,
thing.
you
So-
know,
One of the problems, and it's really with the town center and the whole of what's called New River Housing.
But that's just one
I know.
section of Jacksonville.
No one there, nor any of the owners, put a single dollar into the construction of that.
That's a shame.
That was DOD building family housing
With that
and then
went
turning it over
to the city. To
Well,
whoever.
to
no,
whoever.
Whoever
yeah, it's
purchased it.
private.
But there has never been any blood or
Mm-hmm.
skin in the game over there. Just a constant turnover
That's it.
of ownership for short-term gain, tax losses, all those other types of things.
Which I think, if you look back at past meetings and conversations, we've talked about briefly, because I know Tracy has brought it up before in regards to why HUD has gotten away from the concentrated areas of having low income in just one specific area, because that creates that impoverished mindset. So now they're doing the mixed uses of going to be able to say, instead of having a housing authority, which we only have 21 units here in Jacksonville, those are the only areas that's been, and our housing authority is based out of Goldsboro.
Yeah.
So with it, it all comes from the private developers, developers coming in to be able to build the affordable, but then it goes back to the definitions that they talk about is what's affordable. Because what may be affordable to one person is technically not affordable to the next. And then you have the conversations of income-based housing versus workforce housing, because you have some people that are making $30,000 a year that still can't afford what is considered affordable housing. So it's really a conversation to have with developers to see, are they able to come in and what's available, tax credits and such forth.
and we just need to stop. I have stopped using the term affordable housing because it's
Yeah.
totally meaningless.
Yeah.
It always
Mean
has
anything.
been, but in the past, at least everybody was on board with knowing what that was supposed to mean. That has gone out the window. Because, and it's not just about people who are low income or whatever. You have basically an entire segment of the population that are working every single day, going to work, that are living in their cars because they can pay rent. What they cannot do is get $4,000 accumulated to get this turned on and that turned on and that turned on, and then give a landlord first and month's rent and security deposit and the rent for the month they're moving in. And when you add all that up, in this city, you're talking about having to get your hands on over $4,000 to do that. So once they got it in, they could pay the rent ongoing. What they can't do is get that. So they I don't know where these cars are, but they're parked all over the place. And people are sleeping in the car, they get up in the morning, they go to some place where they can find water rolling in, coming out of a faucet into a basin, and they wash up, put on something, because all this stuff is in the car with them, and they go to work every day. And you're looking at them every day, you just don't know who they are. You don't see them because they're invisible. And I see people, because I live down here, walking up and down the sidewalk from 7 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon with babies and strollers because they can't be in the shelter. And those are issues that have always bothered me, but I get it on an intellectual level. I do not get it on a people level. It makes no sense to me that you cannot do better by people than that. I understand regulations and laws and all that kind of stuff, but it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then, so you have all this going on with housing, and the housing is really just the biggest reflection of what is wrong with the economy, in general. And the fact that and I think we got in this situation, I do really, because a generation ago, people were comfortable about saying, well, that's not me, it's them, there's something wrong with them, they won't work, they're lazy, but you fill it all in. And now you've got a huge segment of the population, teachers who can't get mortgages, teachers, people who go to work every day out of a car. You've got a huge segment of the so-called middle class or regular class, whatever it is you want to call it, that are really, really struggling. We're going to wind up stepping over each other in a minute if this doesn't get solved. And so I'm wondering, and the other issue we could throw out here, and I don't know if anybody would want to talk about it, is this ongoing, whatever it is, between the city and the county. Those lines are invisible to the people who live here. When you draw the line between where the city ends and the county begins, that's an invisible political line. It has nothing to do with the people who live here because they're paying taxes, they're doing all this. And when you draw those lines, sometimes you draw people right on out of availability of resources. You put tax burden on us who have to pay both, here, city and county. But, while we're just going through all this political bumping of heads and everything else, you've got too many people who can't even feed kids. I don't know how people are feeding kids. I don't know how they're buying groceries. And so, there are all kinds of issues, and we can't keep saying, well, because I don't represent the city.
Yes, sir.
Or I'm not on city council, I'm on county commission, so that's not my problem. It is everybody's problem.
Everybody's problem.
And we gotta figure out a better way of addressing these issues than we've got right now, because, we're lucky that something major has not happened here.
And you remember, this is what I think we talked about at the beginning of the year, that we're not just an information gathering board here, that we have to get into, remember we talked about breaking it up and going out and talking to those county commissioners about playing fair with the city council, getting them in the same room, and then discussing these issues. Because a lot of times if you're in the county, you don't care what's going on in the city. But if you're in the city, you care about what's going on in the city and the county. So now you got two representatives that you got to bring in the same room to talk and say, this is the issue that I have. So if we live in the city and we live in Onslow County, so both of you guys have to figure out something with this housing and what's the future of that. So, and that's what, I proposed then, and I propose it again, that we become not just an information gathering, and we become people who are actually seeing and getting the right people in the room to have that conversation that's backed up by action. Okay, how we're gonna make Onslow County, which includes the city of Jacksonville, better. And I think, when we sit in these meetings, we're only concentrating on the city, but we do understand it's a bigger problem. So,
And I think about, we've been told, because I've been here, I became chairperson in 1987
okay.
and did it through till 2014.
So
We've been
there
told
it is right there.
We've been told, but I'm saying, we've been told more than one time that it is not our, what's the word I'm trying to find?
Responsibility.
No, because we always took it as a responsibility.
Don't lie
because,
to them.
I've said a million times that people don't care about water and utilities until they turn the faucet on and nothing happens, or they flush that toilet and nothing happens. Though there are things that infrastructure they don't care about, and it's just human nature. But this committee represents what people see when they drive through here, companies when they come here, when visitors come here, they see what's above ground.
Yes, ma'am.
What does the housing look like? What does the
School
mall look
neighborhoods
like?
look like.
All this kind of thing. So this is a committee that really, I think has a lot of impact on, that future going down the road. And like I said, we've been told more than one time that we don't have anything to say about any of that. We do our agenda and then we have our input on certain issues and then we just keep it moving.
Yeah, well,
And
see,
so
that's
it's
as a
difficult for me
committee.
to operate that way.
But that's as a committee, right?
Yes.
This is, I'm talking to everybody who's watching too, who has a stake in the city of Jacksonville and Onslow County. That's when we, as individual taxpayers, as individual residents, we go to our representative and say, hey, what's going on? And that's one of the reasons why we're gonna have the city manager come in and talking about what's the future, what's going on. Hopefully I've been asking for a long time that we can get some of our other city council members in here to come and tell their wards what's going on, what they can expect. Maybe I don't know if that's asking too much, but
No.
Um,
They have to even be
We need all of our
all
elected
city.
officials. We've got state senators who represent this community. We have in the General Assembly and in Congress and DC. Those people we vote for them. They represent us whether we realize it or not and whether they care about that or not. They do. And we need to have those kinds of conversations with them. Like you said, city, not just city and county, but, people at the state level and people at the federal level. Because as money comes through here to do projects, we may have I know there are places where you can find out if you're really bent on hunting for it. But there are just issues we have, that around our kids and our people and just like family stuff, that people are very discouraged in the community because they don't know how to get at the person who could do something about it.
and that's some of the things that we got to just make happen.
Yeah.
We just got to put it on a future agenda. We have to make it happen. Maybe get our local. I think his office is right here,
Mr.
Congressman
Murphy, yeah.
Mr. Murphy. Have him come over and talk. Have our city council.
Michael Zara is in the area.
And I'm going to ask about it again, so it's on public record. Can we get all or most of our city council in?
Or somebody
have a
from the
talk.
county.
We can
Get someone from the
we get
county.
somebody.
You're talking about, we're talking about working together. Why don't we have somebody from the county as a member
Yeah.
of,
And maybe we have a round
I mean,
table with all of these
maybe
people.
not all the time, but
Yeah.
sometime.
But we have a clear agenda of what we're going to talk about and move forward. Because
Which I'm writing it all down.
yeah.
Well, but, we've been caught in a catch-22 as HUD has pushed toward single-family dwellings instead of the multi or even the rental units. Each and every time someone has been put into a first-time home buyer clause and bought that house, at that point in time, that was an affordable house. 5 years down the line, after reval and, standard inflation, and if those people sell that house, it's no longer the same affordable piece of property.
That's true.
And we don't have that type of funding to keep pushing that type of initiative for 5 and 6 a year. That's not gonna do the thing. I don't know what the solution is. It's more so is somebody with deep pockets, big conglomerate.
Well, the great
You
thing
know?
about that is our partnership now with North Carolina Housing Finance Agency through the HUD-approved counseling agency. So when we talk about the affordable housing, everything is based off of income.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at HUD numbers, and it's based off of location. So what Onslow County looks as affordable is going to be different than if you go to Wake County, because of the market in itself.
The jobs are
So
different.
with our partnership through the Housing Counseling Agency, we're able to tap into North Carolina Housing Finance Agency to assist with those funds that make it affordable for that person based off of their credit and based off of their income.
Now, can we do this? Because I don't want you to just say it right, because people may have already logged off. Make that a future agenda thing, that we actually have you guys spend 15, 20 minutes or the whole meeting explaining what does that mean.
Okay.
You know, by us getting this new partnership for, it's Jacksonville and Onslow County, right?
Correct.
What does that mean for the citizens here, you know? So it's not just hey, we got this housing partnership.
So a presentation on
A
it.
presentation, like what it means, and kind of like go in depth. So because that's one of the things that I hear everywhere in this area. I don't know. I didn't know. I don't know where to go. I don't have anybody.
It's,
You know.
When
when
you
you
tell
take a
other
look at the
people when
whole
they ask.
spectrum,
Yeah.
there are a tremendous number of apartments in Jacksonville and Onslow County. But they're just not affordable to the Section 8 crowd. And until all of them are filled and there's empty units available,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that's where the deep-pocketed, limited liability, whatever, comes in and builds something that maybe doesn't look as nice as what you see, you know, up
It
on
should
Western
look
Extension.
nice.
You know,
I know what you're saying.
you know.
It should look
That's a
nice.
number.
Oh, and I agree, it should,
It should
but,
not look.
well, but it'll look more like what's at Phoenix.
But now you can get a
Yeah.
low cost something that looks really upscale. You know?
Yeah,
It would be wonderful to
You know,
see that.
you
I
can
mean, it-
you can get pearls, but
you
they're not
can,
pearls.
You know, that people can walk to, that they can, or catch the bus to, that they
Yeah.
have shopping areas around, that they don't
Uh,
find a hardship to go to get there and to take care of their business and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's an old question and I had to ask it.
Well, and that's a question that when it seems
Grounded on
like
me.
if it gets, buried again, because some things get buried, and a lot of things that I find out if it's out of sight, out of mind. And so what we probably need to do as a group is, as we're thinking, and Steve brought up a good point, and we had one over at Sandy Run where we bought different developers and
The housing resource.
the Housing Resource Fair, is put those more out there. But now, once again, dive deeper. What does that mean? What does that look like? Because it's one thing to say, hey, like me, I'm a guy I've been trying to figure out money for the library system here, and I still don't understand it, because that's a foundational type of thing, going to the public library, getting what you need, doing research, and everybody got an internet at home, except that one kid in class who don't have it. And his mom takes him to walk him over to the public library. He doesn't have, it's just like what you said about housing. It's not affordable for everybody, and it's the same with the educational piece, of other things that we have to figure out where it comes from, And so now we just have to make sure, like, once again, this community, we stop being a gatherer of information and throwing it over to Ms. Pam as if she had time to do one other thing, and start thinking about the right people to get in the rooms who can answer these questions that's been out there for too long.
Yes, and I'll put mine back on right after yours, that I brought up in 1987. Is when are we going to wake up and smell a coffee and realize that the process and the talent, or whatever word I'm looking for, skill set, for looking for those deep pockets is not her job.
Yeah.
It is not the job of the people who, this young lady sitting out here that greets me every time I come in this building, or the people in utilities. That is not their job. Their job is to carry out what exists here. We're going to have to find, and you can't tell me when you got multi-million-dollar budgets, you cannot find
Somebody.
between the city and the county each of them putting in $50,000 from somewhere, because they have it. Don't tell me they don't have it, because I have accountants that tell me, looking for, when they do an audit, looking for a missing $10,000 is chump change. And it is. From an auditor's point of view, it truly is. Put this together in a pot with some benefits and hire a professional grant seeker for a county that has gone, according to the census, we got bumping up against 190,000 people here. Since our last census, I've done the census for 2000, 2010, and 2020. And we're still going up and up and up. We're getting ready to build a new elementary school over there where Tabernacle used to be, because it's such a demand. I don't know what we're gonna do about these other feeder schools, middle school and high schools, as these kids grow up. I guess we think they're gonna cycle out somewhere, but I don't know what we're doing about that. But we need to stop dumping this in the laps of the people who work in the department that would actually have to implement it over time, and start looking at the way professional people do. They hire professional, skilled people to do certain kinds, to do jobs when they need them. Not just dump it over on the, where she down the hallway, let her do it. Because when you're looking for deep pockets, we're talking about people who are ready to put serious money into, and they understand the business world, how all this links up together and all this. And I know there is money to do this. I am not going to believe it. No one's going to tell me there's not money to do this, because I know there is. But once again, there's always money to do what you want to do when you get ready to do it.
That's right.
And so, and this person could pay back once again, because I told you, I know of people personally who have done that. We had Marsha Roth in North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. That was her job. And at any given time, DHHS was running 5, 6, 7 multi-million-dollar Kate B rentals, Z Smith rentals, all of these grants running through there, because nobody expects the taxpayers to be able to pay for everything. And there are foundations and organizations that understand the payoff for doing this the right way.
Yes, sir.
And so I'll put that back on for as long as I'm here to keep talking about this. Because it's been, when I think about what they went through to get this first-time homebuyer program here, that I'm not gonna go into right now, because it didn't make any sense then, but they got it anyway, and now everybody wants to sing their praises about it, but didn't give any support to them getting it when it came up. So, get professional, behave in a professional manner.
That's right.
This is not a little town anymore, but that happens to have a base down the street.
Yeah.
This is a multi-million-dollar business enterprise with our major business, I guess you would say, being the base. But we just need to do better than this.
And I think one of
We
the
need to do
things.
better than this.
Did you have
I'm
something?
sorry, can I speak now?
Yes,
Or
sir.
do I wait?
No, yes, sir.
Okay, I know I'm just an interested, party. But, I'm listening to what you've been saying, and as Ms. Wright saying, for years and years, and the question that you brought up that have been on the table for years, I mean, these things come up not only in your meeting, other meetings as well. The questions come up, and then they have a seminar and all kind of, where people can ask the questions and whatever, but nothing is ever resolved. The questions are on the table, and people know what the issue is, but nobody solves the issue. We just keep going over and over, repeating what it is. And as far as the housing and affordable housing, as I walked back in, funny that she come up, when my phone rang, that was my daughter. They've been trying to get a house. She was very upset on the phone there. They have been approved, I think, just about 200,000, 190,000, whatever it is. But they can't seem to get a home. And she was so frustrated, she said, they're thinking about moving back to Charlotte. They made less money in Charlotte, believe it or not, than they're making down here.
Mhm.
But they got a brand new home in Charlotte. Now they moved back here because, she wanted to be with her father. But they can't get anything within their budget. The homes are just outrageous.
Right.
Outrageous, and they're not qualified for anything, and they took the classes. Yeah, they took the classes and everything, and they might have budgeted their money pretty good. But it's just ridiculous that all these homes we have in Jacksonville, and they're empty.
Yeah.
They are empty. And if a house is not lived in, it falls apart. And that's what it's doing. Why is that so? Why something should be done where people can acquire these empty homes? And a lot of them don't need a lot of repairing done. They're good homes. They're just empty, but nobody can get in them. So what is the problem?
Well, some,
I'm gonna do this. Y'all know what this is.
and I'll go back to this here, right? And I haven't been in any other meetings or anything like that, but I'm sure it's the same thing what we got going on here, where when we talk about something in here, we actually want action back. So some things never leave this room. So like what I do is I write it down and I call people and say, hey, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? City manager, the mayor, whoever will listen. And process is slow. But once again, if everybody is saying the same thing,
From all the other committees as well.
because if they're saying it in those other committees, it has to leave that room. Because if it never leaves the room, those are the only people who are talking about it. And you guys may sit on other boards and you're talking about that same situation in that room, but it's never left that room either. So it's been there. So that's kind of the goal that what we've been talking about with here is getting these people in here. Because once when we have these cameras on, this is for record.
Yes.
You go back and look at it and say, hey, you told us this was. Now you got to explain that, whether it's the city council, the county commissioners, you got to explain that to the people who voted for you.
That's right.
You
And I
know,
think about what we did as a community when, I guess it was Desert Storm. Because the first time we had, sometimes, the further away I get from it, the more confused I am about who was in and who was going on at that time. But I remember the first big crisis we had of deployment to people going to the Middle East. And they left, and our economy tanked because when he left, and I'm not trying to be sexist, I'm just saying he left.
I was there.
She packed the babies up.
and went home.
Yeah, she packed herself and those babies up, and she went home to her mom to wait out his return. And what that meant, she took her money and her grocery money and everything that she would have normally spent here, went home to her family, because that was a normal response. They weren't from here. And when we did it, we went, oh my God, because business closed. It was horrible.
They did.
That's
They
right.
did.
And so the next time that happened, the Caring Community Committee that we created, partly at Civic Affairs, we came together like a hurricane. And we said, whatever it takes to keep you here, we are going to do. You need your lawn mowed, because you never got behind it, he did it. Somebody will be at your house tomorrow to mow that lawn. You need something painted, you need the kids watched, you need your car fixed. We all came together in a huge effort, and it was successful, because then the lady said, well, when she goes home to a community that doesn't have a base, people, not they don't care about it, but her mom and dad do, but nobody else does, because they don't get it. They don't know anything about the military. So it was more effective and more, it was better for her to stay here and be supported. And we all came together. Now, I don't know what it's going to take, but we need to revitalize that kind of mentality.
That's what I was just thinking.
Because this right here is, everybody's in this
This
thing
is
for
building.
themselves. Yes,
This is building.
it is.
Both actual structures and infrastructure. That requires hard dollars, not just sweat. And it's finding somebody who's almost willing to accept less than
Yes.
what they could get by renting them at the actual going rate.
That's what I'm saying, coming
It's
together
getting somebody
and
willing to
saying,
take
I'm
a
willing to
loss.
give something up so that my community can flourish.
Yeah.
And until we get back to that, because we've been there before, I don't know how we're gonna get back again.
But
But we
those
better do
things
something.
are, I mean, because I'm gonna tell you the truth, I didn't know where that caring community under the city thing came from. I figured that was just like a slogan that we came up with, so that's where it come
That was
from.
in response to
Yeah.
the war,
And-
and
okay.
it took a war.
So, well,
to
it's a,
make
war-
that
it's,
happen.
it's a war right
And
now
we need
with
to say,
people who
we're
don't
at
have
war
housing.
again with our
you know?
economy, yes.
It's just different kinds, like, Mr. Steve was saying, you know, it's gonna take a lot more than a lot of people are willing to give, but once
My
again,
comment
Isn't
is,
it worrying?
we gotta do
People
more,
not being-
we gotta do more
walking
than
the
one city,
streets
our
and
city, my
living in
city.
their cars and stuff.
Because
like
like
that.
she said, if we don't come together, county and city, we still gonna be split. Because I live in the I live in the city, but I pay county tax. And we got Oslo Hospital sitting in the middle of the city, which we pay for. But the thing about it is, most people for their health care, we go out of town.
Wilmington.
We go to Greenville, we go to Wilmington, we go to Duke.
okay, so
So I'm saying,
let's keep talking, right?
okay,
But I think we ran out of time.
well, this is just for my comment,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
I'm gonna ask the city manager. Why are so many people moving out of the city of Jacksonville to the county? You go down to Belfort Road and you see all those houses back in there? The city is gonna be empty, so how will they keep putting up our tax, the county part of it? Then we'll have to move too. So you'll leave the city with not a supply of what you're supposed to have. So we need to ask the city manager
Yes,
that,
so make
what are
sure,
we doing?
so write that question down.
I
so
did
we have
already.
it. Yes, ma'am.
I got it.
And
And I was gonna say, as you come up with more questions, send them to me in
send
an
them to,
email.
so we can shape them and make
Yes.
sure that, you'll ask the question, but we want to make sure that we shape them, so we can give them to him, because I don't want him leaving with
Without-
like 10 questions that could have been, should have been answered here. But well, I'll get back with you. Now, that requires a whole nother thing, so we give them to him prior to, so he can come with the answers, and maybe the folks who can answer those if he can't. If he can't answer those, okay?
I don't know, I think clearly we're willing to do whatever we can. We've
Yes, ma'am.
shown that meeting after meeting after meeting, that there's a willingness here to talk to whoever,
Yes,
sit
ma'am.
down with whoever,
Mhm.
Explain things to whoever,
Yes,
tell you
ma'am.
the history if you need to hear,
That's right.
you know, and all that kind of thing, so I think,
Yes, ma'am.
this is
And don't get me wrong, I think we're doing a really good job at what we do, what we're supposed to do in the mission of this specific committee. Now, we just have to make sure that we cross the line and actually get it out of this room. And actually tell, you know, because every citizen is not watching G10, is actually tell them, hey, this is what's going on, this is what you need to say. This is what you think about when you go to vote. Just think about it. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but just think about these things.
Well, I do that.
Yeah, so,
I do have two things for the question comments.
yes, ma'am.
So the first one is a update that we are coming up on reappointments in preparation for elections. So if you are interested in continuing to be on the board for the upcoming fiscal year, to let Councilman Jackson know.
Okay.
So that way he will prepare for reappointments and elections. Elections will take place in August,
Okay.
but reappointments will be by the next meeting. So go ahead and
council. Ma'am, the city council.
No,
No, for
Over here.
for our advisory board. So for our board in itself. So we have reappointments coming up and elections. And if you know somebody that would be a asset to the committee that's not currently on advisory committees, let them know that they can submit their application, let Councilman Jackson know, so that way he can check for their applications and be prepared. And then also want to put on your radar for us to vote for tonight and move in our October meeting from the 23rd to October 30th. So
Fine with me.
yeah,
if we
we're,
get a vote for that, a motion, because I can't make the
Yeah.
motion.
Oh,
yeah,
I move that we, change our October meeting to Monday, October 30th.
yes, ma'am.
30th.
Yeah.
That will actually be the fifth Monday instead of the fourth Monday.
Can we get a,
second the motion.
thank you. All agree, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is carried. The meeting will be moved from the 23rd to the 30th of October at 5 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Then I think you went over most of those key dates.
Yes, most of them dealt with,
Yeah, actually, you went over all of those.
yeah, all of them. The only one in addition is June 21st, our executive director meetup. So if we have any nonprofit executive directors, that is the meeting solely for our EDs.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then, got the next 4 meetings. Make sure we change that one from October 23rd to October 30th.
Yes, and the December meeting is moved
Okay.
due to Christmas.
Now,
No December meeting?
No,
December 18th.
Oh,
Okay, now, this past year, we did not do it, okay? Miss Marcia had brought it up last year, that our December meetings is to get prepped for the next year. Remember that? Where we would begin to talk about the things, and so we can, rather than do a regular
we just
meeting,
went on and talked
we
about
close out
future
the year
directions.
before and we talk about future business and kind of directions. And I think, like right before that, we may have, city manager, Miss Tracy and Miss Pam, they kind of, hey, this is what we're looking at for the next 12 calendar months. So we can now dive into that, and now we have good direction going forward. So that's what I'm gonna suggest now. So we have time to think about it, so we don't get put on the back burner like we did last year. Because I thought it was a good idea then, I still think it's a good idea now.
So you putting it on the burner now?
No, it's we can cook it right now if
Oh, no, I'm
everybody
saying
agrees.
for it to come
One
up,
thing I can
yeah.
ask,
Yes,
I
ma'am,
know
that last
that,
member in December, if we just say
On that
it's not a
December 18th.
regular meeting, it's a working meeting internal,
meeting.
so we can get the next year put out and see what we.
And I know that sometimes when you're running a program like this, you have to keep up with all of your stuff that you have to do. Is it possible for us to, because you know consent agendas are used in all kinds of meetings to expedite things like that. We could turn in, because if we're talking about our welcoming, we know who we all are, adoption of the agenda, adoption of the minutes, planning board update if there's something to be told. Would we have the time to, and Pam, you and Tracy would be more hard pressed than we would. I'm just thinking about from number 1 down to number 9 could be put on a consent agenda. If you were able to, or we had the time to, you know, when you, because with technology, if you have a presentation you would normally have made like you did today, if you could email it to us, we look at it, we've seen it,
Just give it thumbs
we
up.
give you, we send our thoughts back. I'm thinking about it in preparation for December.
Yes,
Because a
ma'am.
lot of times when you have a program like this, you're expected, when HUD looks back at your minutes and all of your stuff you put together for audit, that you take care of these things when you're supposed to, you know what I mean? And so minutes and things like that could be part of the consent agenda, because we've seen them already. You send them out, we let you know we've already seen it. So then you step right into
Done.
2 minutes after we sit down, we're ready to go into the conversation
Yes, ma'am.
about the next year.
Okay,
And it still allows them to have a record
record of the
of
meeting.
what they have covered.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right.
I'll confirm.
Okay. So, are there any other comments and sir?
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thank you for coming, ma'am. It's nice to meet you also. So we now call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.